Hello and welcome back to the Villa podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Aston Villa 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. First of all, mate, how you doing?
Feels like it's been a while, doesn't it? Is that just me? It feels like it's been a while since we got one of these done.
Yeah, it does. It's been a long
It's nice
way.
to see that you and I have completely unintentionally coordinated this season's kit collection too.
We really have.
That's nice.
We've got some news about kits at the end of the podcast, guys. We're going to be drawing the winner for the competition.
We do.
That's going to be coming. So if anything, listen to find out if you've won. But Dan, I mean, I feel like we're having more of these podcasts recently whereby I feel like, again, we try to be as optimistic as possible, not for no reason. We'd like to try and find the positives. It's going to be really tough for one today, Dan, doing that. Villa have been on such... it's hard to describe the run of form, really, other than just hopeless since arguably January now. And Villa have found themselves in a position today facing against Tottenham Hotspur, a team who are thereabouts where Villa are in the table and have really struggled coming off a heavy 3-0 defeat in the Europa League midweek, which is something I completely forgot to cover in my preview. So apologies, guys. I forgot that there was European football this week. And watching that game, I thought, oh my God, we're gonna win this game. I saw the lineup. I said, Dan, Vinicius, man, we're winning this one. Don't you worry. And here we are. Of course, he scored the opening goal, which we will, of course, get onto a bit later, Dan. But life without Jack Grealish is just incredibly depressing. And Villa need to win some games so this doesn't become a regular thing, Dan.
Yes, mate, you're absolutely right. Life without Jack Grealish is just the void. It's just floating around in a simulation where nothing is real, nothing is tangible, nothing holds purpose or meaning or hope. It's just existence. It's meaningless and it's really, really hard. And I want him back so badly because Villa, you do realise once he's back exactly what he offers to this team and what he brings to Dean Smith's tactics, ultimately. That is now an 18% win percentage for Dean Smith without Jack Grealish in the side. Those aren't pretty numbers, my friends. Those aren't pretty numbers compared to when we do have him in the side. That win percentage got more than doubles, goes up to 45%. So you've got 2.5 times more chance of winning a game with Jack than you do without, and that is the difference in this Villa side. It's the difference towards whether I was looking forward to this game or not. I was like, if we have Jack in this side, I think our chances change in this game dramatically because you realise when he's not there exactly what he quantifies and what he brings to this side. And all he brought to that Villa game was constant discussions between G-Nev and the main commentator, whose name I've forgotten, about his outfit.
We need to talk about the outfit. We need to talk about it. Because he's dripping, man. He's dripping. I will die on that hill. I mean, it's a look. It's a look. I mean, my only complaint, triple white Air Force, Jack, you're better than that. We know how much you earn. You shouldn't just be rocking some triple white Air Force, mate. Come on, you are better than that. Saying that, solid silhouette. Who am I to criticise the footwear he's wearing when, I mean, the coat alone.
I spent the first half finding the hoodie. That's what I was doing during the first half.
Not a onesie. Hashtag not a onesie. Put that in the comments, Gary. Oh my
just
God.
140 as well. I thought Jack's wardrobe. I mean, I say just 140 £140, but I thought it was a Gucci coat, wasn't it? So clearly that's where the budget went on that particular outfit. But no, that was basically. Oh yes, of course. Presumably not on resale either, so that drops the price slightly. But that was all Jack brought to this game, really. I preferred his fit this week. Maybe this is the theme. We scrap the Villa podcast and we just talk on Jack's outfit. But I preferred this one to the purple Dior-based number that we saw last time out of Villa Park.
I liked that one. But no, this is definitely a segment of the podcast. It's going to be. We need a name for it. We need a name. Drip. I don't know. We'll figure something out in the comments for our weekly Jack Grealish drip update. Hopefully, it's not a regular segment of the podcast because ideally we need him in the side, Dan.
We need him.
As you referred to just there, the win percentage without Jack Grealish is shocking. Only 18%. Dan, the last time Aston Villa beat a Jose Mourinho side was dates all the way back to 2014. That infamous Fabian Delph backheel, which was shared to a lot of disdain on the account. I put that tweet out the other day. A lot of people hopping on with the snake emojis, which, I mean, guys, that's one of the greatest goals we've seen in our
We've got to be
lifetimes.
over that now, man.
Yeah,
We
I
got to be
mean,
over that.
listen, Fabian Delph left Villa to go and win a Premier League. You can't begrudge him for that. Let's not forget he's gone on and won Premier League. So I think we need to get over that. But yeah, that's the last time Villa beat a Jose Mourinho side, and you're listening to two of the biggest Jose Mourinho fanboys out there in the podcasting world. I think it's fair to say, Dan, we absolutely adore Jose Mourinho, and it's quite depressing watching Tottenham at the moment because it's, you know, from a Jose loving standpoint, it's just not going right. Obviously, things went right today, which I think only highlights how poor Villa were, Dan, how toothless they were in their attacks. It took Villa, I think, 60 minutes to have a shot on goal, which is absolutely shocking. The halftime XG, as you tweeted at halftime, Dan, Villa with 0. Didn't fill me with much joy. I love coming on. I love talking about XG. It's brilliant. It's one of my favourite things to come out of modern day football. I think it's brilliant. Villa finished the game with an XG of 0.41 compared to Spurs 1.94. Now, it's very worrying because I think as well, it's important to preface this. And there was a big debate on Twitter about XG, Dan, when, who was it? Harry Maguire missed his chance at the back post against AC Milan. And it was attributed an XG of like 0.94. There's a lot of things that have to come into, that kind of come into what the value is asserted to for that. But what it doesn't really take into value for that incident specifically, just to not talk about Villa on a Villa podcast, I'm sorry guys, is the fact that he's a centre-back who was fully stretched. Yeah, I mean, 3/4 of the goal was gaping, but fully stretched, coming onto it with his weak foot. It's no surprise he hit the post. So XG has to be interpreted with context. That little diversion, it had to be prefaced because Villa, Dan, in this game, 8 shots, 1 on target. It was absolutely shocking. So to have an XG of 0.41, I guess is actually quite remarkable. Trezeguet probably had the best chance of the game with a shot in the second half, which I couldn't tell you what Bertrand Traoré did on the follow-up. That is not human, I don't think. But no. Villa aren't creating as many chances, Dan, without Jack Grealish, and it's very worrying.
Yes,
state the obvious.
Right, man. Yeah.
This is the analysis you guys listen to this podcast for. Okay, that's what you guys are here for.
This week, guys. Thank you for listening. Like,
spoke
subscribe.
About the drip.
What more could you want? But Dan, little role reversal. We're really mixing it up for you guys here on the Midfield podcast. We've just gone completely delirious. That's all that's happened this week. I'm going to run you through the average positions. Stop, press. Dan's who scored isn't working. So it's coming from me this week. And so one of the things, Dan, that I was really excited for running up to this game was the fact that Matty Cash was back. And we spoke on the last podcast about how limited we were without El Mohammadi. I was like, Matty Cash is back. And I felt like, honestly, and I've been completely disproven at this point, that we missed Matty Cash, not quite as much, but to similar like levels that we did miss Grealish. I thought in positional, I think the drop off in that wing spot where Jack is almost as bad. Well, sorry, the right back spot is almost as bad as it is for that left wing spot. I think the drop off in quality from Cash to Elmo is so severe.
Yeah,
I thought that Cash would offer us a lot more going into this game. Matty Cash's average position, Dan, is at least 15 yards into our own half. It is just off being level with Ezri Konsa and Tyrone Mings. He's much deeper than Douglas Luiz, much deeper than John McGinn. I would say he's about 20 to 25 yards deeper than Matt Targett. Matty Cash had a stinker today. He had an absolute stinker.
Don't say it too loud.
I do. I know I won't. Don't worry. There are certain things not meant for Twitter, and that's one of them, isn't it? Yeah, Matty didn't have a good game today, but I was really excited to see him back. I'm not going to read too much into that because it's his first game back. Not an easy game. And a lot of the times he was trying to keep tabs on Reguilon, who was playing a lot higher up than Matty Cash was. And Lucas Moura, there was that one instance in the second half where, he turned him inside out, sent him back to Notts Forest. That was bad. But no, I was excited to see Matty didn't have his best game today, and I was disappointed by that. I'm sure he'll be back. But no, you're right, mate. You're right in saying that it was not a great game from either side. You have to credit Spurs for their ability to go and win that game 2-0 despite playing not very well. That is a trait of all good Jose Mourinho teams. Not saying that this is one, but that's a very Jose Mourinho trait, is to be able to go and win a game 2-0, keep a clean sheet without actually doing much. It's only the third time we've lost 6 straight home games to a particular opposition in the Premier League. And we've got this aggregate score going on against Spurs, which in their last 7 visits to Villa Park, they've won by an aggregate score of 19-3.
Jesus
So
Christ.
that's a real bad stat, isn't it? That is a bogey team.
To say the least.
You know, if we start running through some of the Villa stats now, Dan, we've won just once in 7 Premier League games now. 4 of 15 games we've won since Boxing Day. If you want to take it back a little bit further than that. We scored, listen to this. This feels like, honestly, I had a dream the other day, Dan, that at the start of the season we beat Liverpool in a home game, put like 7 past them or something. It was absolutely ridiculous. We scored 27 goals in our first 13 league fixtures of the season, but we've scored 12 in our last 15 games since then. What's going on? I know Jack isn't playing, but surely you would like to think that there was enough talent and that we saw in the first half of the season. Look at what Ali was doing. Look how good Trezeguet was in those opening games of the season. Look at what Amaral Golzi was doing. Where is... Or I know Jack's been taken out of that side, but you'd like to think that still within the squad we've had something in the tank to find at least a slither of what we had before them.
I think honestly, Dan, we're still looking at a side that's recovering from COVID. I think we really are. It's not. We've not been the same since, and
No, that's something they referenced today was the drop off since that COVID outbreak. So
it's difficult to find running stats. They're like not really accessible to the general public, but that's something I'd really like to investigate. If anybody has any links, please do let me know in the comments below. Dan and I would love to know. I don't feel like we're covering as much ground. I don't think we're doing it at an intensity which is required that we did during the opening half of the season. And I think today Dean just got it wrong. And sometimes you have to admit that the starting 11 he selected ultimately was always going to struggle. Now, in the preview, Dan, I stated that Villa should probably focus their attempts through the middle, funnel that way, whilst also looking to exploit the right-hand side. Obviously, today, I believe Tanganga played there, didn't he? At right back today, instead of Matt Doherty and Serge Aurier, who, the 2 usual culprits who you would expect. And early on, Dan, there were signs of a fragility in that Tottenham Hotspur defence, which Villa just weren't able to capitalise on. I don't think you can start both Trezeguet and Bertrand Traoré in the same game.
Agree. I agree.
I know Villa like to play with inverted wingers, right? Trezeguet, for me, is a right-footed winger who has a significantly improved goals and assist output when playing on the right. He is a winger. He's a traditional winger. He's as right wing as they come. No politics. I'm sure he's not right wing. Before we get into that, but he's not as effective playing on this left hand side, and I think it's hard to argue. I mean, Amaral Ghazi has played a fraction of the games of our wingers, and is Villa's second highest top goal scorer of the season. Dan, it's hard to argue that Villa are less threatening in front of goal when Amaral Ghazi isn't in the team. Like he surely he has to be in the side. Villa, he's a much more competent dribbler. Trezeguet offers many things in the form of work rate. Of course, he's there for these back post goals, but again, a lot of them have come from that right hand side, Dan, which is again something to really consider. And listen, I never expected Dean to pack the midfield and go with a kind of free flowing Barkley, Sanson, McGinn midfield 3 in a sort of diamond that kind of flows, interchanges. I didn't actually expect Dean to do that. I would have quite liked to have seen that though, as I feel. I mean, Spurs' midfield, our midfield we made them look so much better. I'm actually lost for words because I'm trying to articulate that midfield. And early on for me, Morgan Sanson, he was making these really good runs. The passing looked very crisp. John McGinn again. I feel like it's a kind of weekly segment on the podcast. Just our concern for John McGinn. Where is John McGinn? We need to start putting up some posters and his face on milk cartons because he's gone missing, man. We need to find this John McGinn. That's a goal threat. And Douglas Luiz wasn't his finest hour. I don't want to scapegoat individuals though, because collectively, Dan, the performance just wasn't good enough. And very rare occasion on this podcast, Dan, where we're actually going to take a minute and go, Emiliano Martinez, what on earth were you thinking with that clearance? That was very out of character. I don't want to pile in too much again. I feel like Villa fans shouldn't. Collectively, the back four could have done so much better on Villa's first goal, where, of course, it was Carlos Vinicius who was going to score after I jinxed it in our chat, Dan. But he scuffs the clearance, and it is a very well-worked goal, to be fair. There's not much Villa can do. When the goalkeeper kind of scuffs the opportunity as he did, it's not really going to fill your defenders with that much confidence, which, to be fair, Emmy has given our defenders a lot of credit. They should really trust him with the amount of saves he's pulled off so far this season. How often Emmy has actually managed to bail us out of jail. But it's one of them rare occasions. And listen, it's going to happen. It's just unfortunate. It was tonight. It's unfortunate. It was against Tottenham, being the former Arsenal man, and Carlos Vinicius scoring his first Premier League goal is a stat that always happens against Aston Villa. If a player needs a goal, they're going to get it against Villa. You can bet your bottom dollar on that, Dan.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. That was going to be my exact point. It's so funny. It was his 10th goal of the season, getting into double digits. It was his first Premier League goal. Of course, it was going to come tonight. Was there really any of a doubt? But no, on the goal, I thought it was uncharacteristic from a lot of people. I think Emmy, I think he's trying to play it out. I've watched it back a couple of times. I think he's trying to pick out the wing, and doesn't really get it right. Needs to put his foot through it. But the thing is like with that kind of goalkeeping, and I am going full goalkeepers union here, bro. Apologies.
We love it. We love it.
With that kind of goalkeeping, like you see some goalkeepers do it, and if Emmy rolls out there, picks out the pass, picks out a midfielder or a winger, we go, oh, bloody like that. How amazing is it that we got a goalkeeper that can run out off his line? And we've seen him do that a couple of times this season, like run off and pull off diving headers and stuff like that. And so I can understand why he's trying to play that ball, because it's sort of what's expected of him. But it's easy to say in hindsight, isn't it? I should have put your foot through it.
Of course.
But he should have done that. And then I think for the whole. It's real, and I think obviously there's a level of panic I think that sets in when you see your goalkeeper doing that. I think Konsa's caught a little out of position. I don't think Matty Cash does enough to get that ball across. Tyrone goes across, try and cover, which I can't really fault. I think Matty Target's too narrow. But as you say, it's hard to sort of pick flaws in that, because the panic onsets, doesn't it? When you see your goalkeeper do that, your ability to stay focused on your defensive shape and your responsibilities when your Argentine goalkeeper is 10 yards behind you chasing back towards his own goal, sort of goes out the window a little bit, doesn't it? I don't really have too much to say on that. Similar to the penalty, really. I think we should touch on this. Something I said to you before we come on air. I think Kane just plays Matty Cash's Premier League inexperience, just sort of knows that he's going to come across and make the slight challenge there. Matty doesn't need to. I'm not going to go in too hard on him because, again, first came back, etc., etc. But didn't really make the challenge. Kane just takes a step across, feels that challenge come in, goes down like a sack of spuds, and it's a penalty. He's played for the penalty. That's not me saying he's dived or anything like that. Of course not. There was clear contact, but he's played Matty Cash like a banjo, and he's the best penalty taker in the world. Really, I would say. I think he's got that mantle. I don't think there are too many better at what he does than that man. I think it's just
he's just a goal scorer.
Just loves it, man. Loves it. Knows where the back of the net is. And you can't fault him that. But no, I think, look, if we're being completely, mate, I've never been so excited to see England play San Marino in all my life. It's like
it feels like it's come at the right
break,
time.
and I was like, geez, I'm looking at an England game against San Marino. Like, yeah, that would be good. I just can't wait to see a team that I follow score some goals.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
It will be nice, mate. It will be.
Maybe I will score. It'll be good.
Oh, mate. Well, do you know what? Speaking of England, obviously we put the question out to you guys on our community page, and we were actually overwhelmed with the response because we've always kind of covered international football here on the Villa Fella podcast, But the last break, you guys you just didn't want it, which is fair enough. If you don't want to watch it, you don't want it. That's fine. It didn't do as well in the views. But grateful to all of you guys who watched it. There was, I feel we did a really comprehensive roundup, Dan, of every single player who was away. I stayed up.
You guys won't know this, but Dan and I have so much love for this podcast that we did.
Yeah, it's genuinely our favourite podcast. I'm going to link it in the end card so you guys can just go and watch it in retrospect. But I mean, Dan and I were staying up till like 3 a.m. watching Douglas Luiz ball out. We were watching Argentina play on a separate screen, hoping Emmy would come on and make a cameo appearance. Like we invested a lot of time into this podcast, and I think only 500 people watched, which you guys are the real MVPs. But overwhelmingly, say a lot of you guys were really interested in England podcasts, which is great because there's going to be a lot of them in the summer. There's going to be England content in the summer. So you've got to stay tuned for that. We've got to cover something. I think, it's going to be a fairly busy summer in terms of Villa and in terms of England content. I think, by the time we could be looking at maybe 4 or 5 Villa players in the squad, hopefully, touch wood. I mean, if Gareth Southgate's not the manager, I really think if England are going to, if England was serious about going for the Euros, Dan, they would hire Arsene Wenger. I'm saying that right now.
You've said that. I love that you just said that.
Bin off Gareth, get Arsene in. We're winning the Euros. That's going to happen.
Dan.
Anyway, that's enough of the international podcast chat. Dan, I feel like just to briefly kind of round off on the game. And listen, Tottenham Hotspur, again, a team who are thereabouts around us in the Premier League table. And it's been a weird match week because there's been FA Cup games on. This game is obviously rescheduled. It was meant to be played in January, which is absolutely crazy. Obviously, this was postponed thanks to the COVID-19 outbreak at Villa. But if this giant pop-up ad would go off the Premier League website, I could tell you where we are in the table. So we're sat in 10th. This win has propelled Spurs up to 6th. And listen, again, just to reiterate it, because I feel like I am morally obliged to on every single podcast, European football isn't happening. So if the media in general could just stop saying that, because you guys clearly haven't watched Villa since January, European football is well off the cards. We need to look to maybe just try some new things, maybe see a few of the youngsters in. Obviously, JJ is kind of a much more established figure in the dressing room now. Dan, would have been nice to have seen him today, but obviously I think we're both pretty vocal in saying we wanted Sanson to start. So that is completely fair. I don't expect JJ to play every single game, especially against a side like Spurs. Again, it's something that we kind of touched on, Dan. It's pointless playing him against a side who play with a low block. And, when Spurs are under the cosh, that is what they do. Now, listen, Dan, 10th in the Premier League. Season ends tomorrow. I'm over the moon.
100%. How can you not be? How can you not be, realistically? We would have ripped your arm off for that at the start of the season, wouldn't we?
Yeah, and I think, again, architects of our own downfall, early season form really had Villa fans thinking, ourselves included, Dan, I genuinely thought we could make European football. But, I think you've just got to look at West Ham. I mean, I know they didn't win their game earlier today, but man, they're brilliant. David Moyes has them playing football. Again, just like to point out in our transfer rumour mill, Dan, I said I wanted Jesse Lingard. Every time he scores, I'm going to say that because I got rinsed for saying I wouldn't have minded him. I think we could have got something out of him. It's funny seeing how South Barkley's gone since then as well. It's almost as if Jay Lynch listens to the podcast. And it's trying to prove all you guys wrong, prove all the data's wrong. Obviously, he's back in that England squad as well, Dan. Listen, guys, these podcasts, they don't tend to do as well when Villa don't do well. So we really appreciate you guys who take your time to listen. And there are, before we end, Dan, I think, first of all, we are excited to talk about international football again. I mean, we love that. You guys, again, there was an overwhelming response on the podcast saying on the post, saying you guys wanted these podcasts. So that's great. We'll keep you up to date, mainly with England, but of course we will discuss our other international villains who are away.
And I think it's Thursday England play. So
Thursday. So there's a bit of time. We're not going to do any kind of previews and stuff like that. That the five reasons why previews. Just because I don't think that's.
I don't think we need to do 5 reasons why England could beat San Marino. I think we should be okay with that one.
Yeah, we hopefully. I mean, knock on wood, Dan. If as long as Ollie Watkins plays, I think we can beat San Marino. But listen, guys, I am now live about to draw the winner of the Aston Villa shirt giveaway.
Of course. Let's do
It's
it.
great. First of all, massive thank you to everyone who subscribed. We're now over 4,000 subscribers, Dan. This is the first time we've done a podcast since we have passed that landmark. It's crazy because I think closing out the season, Dan, we were at 1.8k last season.
Yes.
So, I mean, the growth already has been absolutely amazing. The fact that, you know, there's probably going to be a couple hundred of you guys that have tuned in to listen to Dan and I talk about the drip of Jack Grealish and, you know, international football after that disappointing defeat. It truly means the world. And just going through the winners now. So, of course, we're going to give away a home shirt. It's in size XL. Mainly because of stock issues. I don't see Villa getting any more in. I feel like XL with Kappa, you're safe going either way. You know, if you're slightly on the smaller side, absolutely, absolutely. And the winner is, drum roll please, Tim Griff 88. Tim Griff 88. I'm sorry, I don't follow you. I need to follow you. There we go. I now follow you, Tim, live on the podcast.
Well done,
so Tim, we will reach out to you and get your details. The shirt should be arriving within the next few days at my house, hopefully, along with a home shirt for me, because I still haven't got the home shirt yet. So,
nice.
That is coming with Grealish on the back, of course. It has to be done. I mean, Dan's done in Bertie, if you guys don't know. So that was a man aggrieved when he got pulled off earlier. That is, he is seething.
I've been aggrieved for a couple of months now. Don't worry.
Of course. But guys, again, we just like to really thank you for all the support, because again, you know, in these uncertain times, doing this kind of stuff, you know, thankfully, just given Dan and our situation in terms of being at uni and stuff, it's actually weirdly give us more time to do this. I think if things were normal, we wouldn't have been able to have put as much effort into grow. This is like, you know, we've been doing this for a while now, and to finally kind of see see the channel reap the benefits of our hard work is really great. And it's great that you guys, I feel like we've got a nice little community being built, Dan. There's some faces that you always see in the comments interacting with each other, seeing it on the stream, AJ taking his clothes off. You know, that's the kind of stuff that we love to see. And obviously it's going to be a while till we talk about Villa specifically, Dan. So before we end the podcast, again, really excited to cover England with Ollie Watkins away. Tyrone Mings is there as well. Going to be great to watch him play. I think he will get some minutes, probably more so than Ollie Watkins. But let us know in the comments below what you're excited for. Do you think Ollie Watkins will score in this international break? If you do you think he's going to get himself in the full squad when it comes to it in the summer? We'd love to know your thoughts. And Dan, any final words from yourself, mate?
No, absolutely not, mate. I think the Villa have been slowly going downhill, but the Villa goes uphill. Delighted to get 4K followers. Thank you to everyone that's been involved, man. It's been so fun doing it this season, bro. I've absolutely loved it. I don't know about you. And yeah, it's coming at a good time, this international break. So sit back. We'll put 11 past San Marino. Life will be good. And we'll come back for... Who's it after the international break?
Fulham,
of course. Yeah, live on Sky as well. So we'll see you on the 3rd of April talking Villa. But I'll be doing a preview before then. So make sure you get that one.
That wasn't a paid ad for Sky either. But Sky, if you would like us to advertise your TV channel,
we wouldn't mind that.
Hit us up in the DMs. Hit us up in the DMs. Sponsorships, they're hard to come by. But yeah, Dan will be back with a preview. Before then, you will see some England podcasts. Sir. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit the like button, comment your thoughts below about the international break, and subscribe if you're not, because 55% of you are still not subscribed who are watching this right now.
Makes me sad, man. Makes me sad.
Make Dan happy. Just subscribe. It's easy. Up the Villa.